Hello friends! As you likely already know, Steam's Next Fest is upon us once again. This time around, I noticed that there are quite a few automation-based building games, which is right up my alley as far as games I love to play. So I'm including all of the ones that I found interesting on this video, as well as a few others that I think are worth checking out. I may include a list of everything I looked at if I remember to post it in the comments, but I'm not going to add all the ones that I don't think are worth playing. I am keeping my ranking system pretty simple. At the top we have the S tier demos, or demos that stand out from the pack. These are interesting and fun from the get-go, and while it's never a guarantee for the final game, they are worth playing as they are now. Immediately below, at the A rank, are fun demos, maybe interesting, but lack any standout qualities separating them from the pack. I'm also including a rank of R for those demos that are just a bit raw and need to cook more. Maybe it's lacking in content, or they suffer from too much jank, or they are too buggy. Still, these demos are interesting in some way, and they may be worth trying if you're willing to look past their issues. I'm not going to include demos that I play that are not worth playing, because frankly, I am not sure it would make an interesting video to go through bad demos. But I will include a comment listing them in case you're curious. You can always leave your own comment if you want to know more. As always, these are my personal opinions. Please let me know about your own favorites. There are an astounding number of demos out, and there's just no way that I can possibly try them all. Before I get to it, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and leave me a like and your own thoughts about what's worth trying this week. Okay, so let's start at the R rank. Raw. They need to cook. Dungeons and Kingdoms is a really interesting demo going straight into raw rank, but I think it holds a lot of promise. The basic idea for the game is a kingdom building sim where you also need to dive into dungeons and fight monsters for loot. The main problem from the get-go is that the game is currently very complex. It has a complicated, unforgiving UI, and it is generally not clear what you should be doing next. It requires extensive step-by-step tutorials to figure out. There are lots of little user experience problems that I think will frustrate most players. For example, dialogue with an NPC locks you into that interaction for a few seconds after that interaction is over. Or that you can only add resources to a build site one by one, rather than all at once if they're all in your inventory. Or that you can't just point at an item and interact with it. You have to point, hold down the interact key, and then select what action you want from the menu. This is just skimming the surface, by the way. There is definitely a game here, but unless the user interface is made more accessible, I think this will be reserved for those that are willing to wrestle with it. Everwind is another game I'm reluctantly placing in the raw category, but I'll fully admit this might be entirely due to me only having played the demo for about 2 hours. This is a Minecraft-style build-a-base game where the twist is that you can make your base into a flying ship, and there are floating islands that you can travel to. I had a good time exploring and building up my ship, discovering new recipes and generally playing in the sandbox. However, all of the islands I visited were very similar to each other. They all had the same type of POI, namely a guard tower with skeletons and a ruin or two. What I expect from a game like this is a vast array of different POIs on different islands. There should be different biomes, like in Minecraft. I think if there was an introductory page explaining current content versus what will be available on release, it would help relieve any concerns about the lack of current content. With that said, the game worked really well, was intuitive to play, and was fun until it wasn't. Keep an eye on this one. I found the name Dwarf Delve intriguing, so I just had to check it out. In the end, I am placing Dwarf Delve into the raw category, although this game does show some promise as well. The game has character, charm, and a gameplay loop that is relaxing in its exploration and gathering, while also having some level of danger. Or promised danger. The problem is that the package itself still needs work. For example, there's no mouse control in the menus, but until the moment that you access the menus, you're using your mouse to move the camera around as you will in a normal FPS. Mouse sensitivity settings don't save between runs, and loading levels takes a long time. It's not obvious why there are 3 separate elevators, and it's possible to accidentally lock yourself in one since only one chamber has a lever to open the door from the inside. Movement speed feels slow, and sprinting can only be done for a few seconds. Still, this is all the work of a solo developer, and I think what they've done so far is pretty impressive. If they can clean up the user experience, I think this game will be a no-brainer for many people. Okay, let's move on to the A rank. These games are average, competent, maybe worth playing if you love the genre. Alchemy Factory is a pleasant addition to the shopkeeper games that also includes automated construction lines for your products. I placed it in A tier because while the demo is great and generally works very well, it's executed at a bargain level rather than a premium, if that makes any sense. It was interesting and entertaining to discover production lines and produce the various products. You can build intricate production lines, and even more seems possible looking at their store page. But with that said, I thought the color palette of the game could use a bit of work, as currently walls, floors, tables, shelves, basically any furniture, they all sort of blend together due to how similar they are in texture and color. NPCs are functional, are there to buy your things, but otherwise they're forgettable, and I found buying resources from a merchant to just be a bit blah. If you enjoy automation games or shopkeeping games, you should check out the demo and make up your own mind. Moving on, Cube Tori reminds me a lot of Shapes with a Twist. Instead of dealing with different shapes like in shapes, you always deal with cubes. The twist comes from manipulating the cubes, painting specific surfaces of said cube with various colors. Add color mixing and the combinations get complex and interesting. However, to me, this still basically played like Shapes, and I have played a lot of Shapes, so for now I'm placing it in A tier. Okay, finally the S rank, or the standout demos. Astro Botanica is a science-driven survival game set on prehistoric Earth. I gave this demo an S rank because it is very well done, plays well, and there's a ton to do. It has its own flavor and personality. Seemingly, you are an alien that has landed on ancient Earth, looking for plants. Among the many things that you can do is meet the local Neanderthals, solve their problems, and trade items with them. Explore the world and its resources, build your base, grow your plants. With that said, the inventory management system is a bit weird. It has a left hand, a right hand holding items system that takes some getting used to. And I'm not sure why it exists other than to be different. This one seems interesting, but only time will tell if the final game will deliver on the promise of the demo. The Last Caretaker is one that's going straight into the S-bin. This is a game where you must explore, gather resources, and build your base, which in this case is a ship. That ship must be refueled, and power must be managed and restored. There are engines to repair, components to build and upgrade. The closest game that I can compare this to is actually Abiotic Factor, although in this there's no combat whatsoever, so that may play a lesser role in this game. But what's here is great. It's also releasing in less than a month, so we'll find out soon how it is. Mine Mogul was a total surprise, and it feels like the spiritual successor to Hydroneer. If you enjoyed Hydroneer, you're very likely going to enjoy Mine Mogul, so you should probably just go and try the demo now. But for everyone else that has not played Hydroneer, here's what Mine Mogul is like. Think of an automation mining game where resources and products are all physics objects. You can build belts designed to drop ore down a shaft, or have to worry about too many resources physically jamming on belts and falling out. That said, it does appear less grand than Hydroneer, as it doesn't seem to have a town with NPCs to explore or use heavy equipment. Still, what's here is great, and I encourage you to check out the demo. The next iteration of Regions of Ruin, Rungate, brings us more dwarven adventures. The kingdom of dwarves is broken, and after fleeing from the greenskins through a strange Rungate, they must now restore an ancient city from ruin. You will hack and slash through greenskins, gather resources, rescue dwarves, complete quests, restore ruined buildings, and travel through mysterious rune gates. The demo does a great job of quickly pulling you into the game world and wastes no time getting you into the action. The old Region of Ruin was great, and this one promises to be as well. Last but not least, I have the demo for Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus Chew, which for me goes into S rank. Like the first game, it features the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Necrons, but with a twist on the original. As this time you alternate play between the Necron and Mechanicus factions, making decisions for both as they navigate the maze of a Necron tomb. That said, combat still feels simplified compared to something like Xenonauts or Mutant Year Zero, so don't expect anything as unforgiving as those games are here. Okay, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one.